Guys, welcome back to the channel. I have an exciting video today. This is something I've never done, so you guys are gonna get to see me do it for the first time ever. Jake Medlin reached out to me and he said, hey, I have a facility down in Dallas called Stripe Show, and I want you to come check it out and just see what it's about. And last night I jumped on a call with him and he said, I have some of the best technology there is getting data for your game and figuring out how you can get better. And right there was when I was like, this is my guy. This is exactly what I want to do. So not only am I going to get my irons fit to me, my Callaway Apex irons, pro irons that I already have in the bag, which you guys know. He was telling me last night, he's like, if you're looking for a data overload, this is the place to be. And I was like, that is exactly what I'm looking for. So if it's not in the morning where you're at, you know, I suggest you still get a cup of coffee because that just makes everything better. It's going to be a good time. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, I made it to the studio, Stripe Show, down here in Dallas, and this place is just incredible. We're gonna come in here, we're gonna meet Jake, and we're gonna kind of see what he's about before we get into this iron fitting. This is Jake, guys, and he is
how's it going?
Premier club fitter in Dallas.
Yeah, welcome to Stripe Show Club Fitters. What we do here is we do a full tour truck, PGA Tour style club fitting, where we look at we evaluate your current equipment and then make some notes and measurements and all that good stuff. And after we've taken those measurements and notes, we get you on our simulator and we do hit several clubs of your own and take some benchmarks. And then from there, we let you start trying some of the newest and latest and greatest equipment. Here in our toolbox, we've got lots of woods, hybrids, and irons to fit. And as you saw when you walked in, you saw our iron shaft wall, as well as our driver, 3-wood shaft wall. We take a look at data as we aggregate data from each club, and once we narrow things down, we start looking at making some selections. And then whether you buy your clubs from us or if you choose to buy them elsewhere, we can build them for you. We just got into business earlier this year. Back in August, we took possession of the facility, and we opened our doors in December. So we're super excited to be here and collaborating with you.
And I'm probably gonna say it a few times through this video, but everything that you need to get in contact with this studio and with Jake will be linked in the top of the description. So basically what Jake did first is he asked me what irons I have, which you guys know I have the Callaway Apex Pros, and he told me that's one of the best irons ever made, which I kind of had that idea. But we're going to be fitting for a couple different shafts, but one of the main things that I came in here today for is loft and lie angle, because I know that's been something I've kind of struggled with and I've never got fitted for that. So we're gonna kind of get ready to it. It's just gonna be hitting a lot of balls, getting a lot of data, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
I love
you're
it.
gonna
So,
walk out of here fully dialed.
I'm gonna hit some balls, warm up, and yeah, we're just gonna get right into this.
So here's another like little wedge matrix from Pete Weber Golf. He's a big wedge teacher. So like if your target's 100 yards and your launch angle is at 24 degrees, 10,500 is not off at all.
Okay.
So I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to measure your 6-iron length, and I'm going to swing weight it.
Okay.
Swing weight is basically putting the club on a 14-inch fulcrum, and I'll show you the scale in the build shop. So basically, the grip hooks into this little deal at the end, and it goes on this 14-inch fulcrum and tilts, and then it's a manual swing weight scale, but it tells you D1, D2, C9. So it's essentially how the weight's distributed through the club. And once you get the proper distribution through the club, you'll feel it. Like, so when we put some demos together and you hit it, you're gonna be like, ooh, this feels heavy, or it feels light. And it's gonna be because the swing weight is distributed differently through the club. But once you get the right swing weight, you're gonna be like, holy moly, it's legal.
Yeah. What's the weight of this shaft? Or do you not know?
So they're like 90 something grams, which is a really light shaft for someone that swings as hard as you do.
Okay.
Typically when you get into the X-Flex stuff is when you get into the heavier stuff. I wouldn't have you, when I'm fitting you in shafts, I'm not going to fit you in anything that's less than 115 grams, because it's just a more stable shaft. So torque is what creates the stability. When you hit an iron, you don't feel the iron wiggle like you feel like when you hit a ball off the toe of your driver. You're like, ooh, you can feel it. Graphite's just not as stable going into the hosel as steel.
Okay.
So
yeah.
steel typically has less than 1 degree of torque in almost any shaft, and then when you get into some of the thicker, stiffer tip stuff, you're looking at like hardly any torque on even off-center hits. And that torque even goes into your putter. Like when you hit a putt off center, it torques.
Yeah.
I'm going to swing weight them, measure them just to make sure that I benchmark what the length is, and then I'll measure all your clubs and swing weight them all so we can see what and how they stack up to the factory specs.
Sweet. Basically what he's saying is 90 grams is way too light for me, which I've kind of always known that, but those are just the stock shafts that came in my irons. So that right there already shows me that I think there's definitely been a gap in some, a way that I can create a lot more consistency by having just the right shaft. So he's gonna do some, like you said, swing weighting and see exactly what shaft I need. But this is cool. I love seeing numbers, and yeah, there's a lot that we're gonna learn here today, me and you, everybody.
So D3 swing weight's not bad. I would have had, like, if I were to guess, I would have said they were probably lighter, but it's probably because the shaft is so light. We can still D3 or D4 swing weight you and a heavier shaft. I swing D4s, DJ swings D4s, a lot of the tour guys swing like D3, D4, D5. What I'm going to do first with yours is I'm going to have you hit a few balls just with the sticker on your face, and then I'm going to have you hit a few balls with off the live board with a sticker on the sole of the club.
Okay.
And then we're gonna see, I just wanna see where you're striking it. So hit like 3 balls with this face sticker, and then it's not gonna spin as much. It takes all the spin off.
A lot of y'all have probably seen this, but have probably seen this type of putting a sticker here, but we're gonna see exactly where I'm hitting this.
Yeah. A little hilly.
Yeah, that was way inside.
It's good. That's stuff that I can get you dialed. If that's your miss, we can get you dialed.
Same, almost the same spot. I mean, look at that, guys. It's not even really close to the center. I mean, it's like,
that's fine.
That's 2 balls right there.
But this is good. It's good exercise for understanding why having the proper loft and lie and length.
They were definitely inside heel. That second was a little high on the club face, but pretty consistent right there, which I did not know that.
This isn't to make you look foolish, it's to make you look smart. This is going to be the closest thing that I have in the box to the Apex Pro, the X-Forge CB. Your iron is 61.5 lie angle. This is going to be a 1.5 degree flatter. I'm also putting you, so you choke down a touch on your club, like you were choking down like a 1/4 inch. This is a 1/2 inch shorter shaft. So grip it normal, just take a couple of practice swing or hit a few balls, and then we'll put a sticker on it and see where you're hitting it on the face.
Did you say what kind of shaft this was?
Yeah, that's a Project X LZ 6.5. So it's a X Flex Project X loading zone shaft.
And it's 1/2 inch short, and this is the Callaway MB X or CB X4.
We're just hitting that as the closest comparison to what you're actually hitting. I don't have this Apex head in the box right now.
I definitely like the 1/2 inch short.
Not a lot of people can hit that club that well. All right, let's put a sticker on the face, Micah.
A little high on the club face, but look at that. It's literally dead center. Probably about 2 degrees high.
Where's that on the face?
Same place. Look at that, 2 shots. And this club right here is bent. It's a 1.5 degree flat for mine. Didn't change anything in my swinging. You can see how much of a difference that is right there, which is really cool. It's gonna be very effective for my game.
Yeah, so basically we're gonna hit a few balls off the lie board, and we're gonna look and see specifically where Mike is striking it on the club face, and determine if his clubs are set up properly for him, if they're too upright, if they're too flat. I suspect they're a little bit too upright, just based on what I've seen thus far and based on where he misses it on the club face. So just hit 2 balls off of the lie board, and we'll take a look. A little toey, actually.
Yeah.
Huh. That's the club being a little too flat, which is the opposite of what I expected. Usually a heel strike's associated with the club being too upright, and a toe strike is going to be with the club being a little too flat. So like I miss a lot on the toe when the club isn't upright enough. you'll miss more on the heel when the club is too upright. So get another one and let's see. Closer to center. Now hit one with this.
All right, so I'm switching back to the 6 iron that was a degree and a half flat and half-inch shorter. What did that first and second strike? What does that mean?
So those are a little toe bias. So it's actually the club is a little bit too flat. So having the club bent upright when you're hitting it, missing it off the toe, is going to help promote getting it more to the center of the face.
Right.
How does that club feel when it sits up on the ground? So
it feels good, but it's like the same.
Interesting.
So that one was almost the same place as my first one with my 6 iron, so I'm gonna hit another one.
See how it's moving closer to the inside?
Yeah.
The other one had more of a toey strike, so that's a flatter setup by a degree and a half. I probably wouldn't go 2 degrees flat for you just because that's getting like.
So flat is this way, right?
Going that way.
Right.
Yeah, the handle goes a little lower to the ground. When you shorten the club, it flattens it out a little bit too.
Man, this club feels so good.
It's a good shaft. I don't even know that it's the best one for you.
Yeah.
It's just, that's going to be a lot more stable than what you're hitting, and you can swing your swing. So smash on 6 iron 1.4 is pretty much perfect. So anything over that's good.
What is the biggest takeaway from like the lie angle?
The shaft length plays into the how flat or how upright your club should be.
Okay.
So when we hit balls with your gamer, you're hitting them a little more off the toe because this club's a half-inch longer and it's a degree and a half more upright than this club. Like right now, I'm thinking 1 degree flat from standard is where you should be sitting just based on your height, and then a quarter to a half-inch under length on the shaft.
Mm-hmm.
Just it gives you a little more maneuverability and it allows you to square it a little easier without having to choke down.
So that's not something that I would have known would be shaft length, and all that is also like a big part of lie angle. So it's not just coming in here and like, oh, half degree flat, bend your club. There's a lot more that goes into it. So that's pretty cool.
So now we're hitting the X100 Tour issue. This is my
X100 Tour issue with the same club head, and this is standard length.
No, they're all half-inch
Okay.
under. So what you're testing is all apples to apples. Well, Tig, that's the Tiger Woods shaft of choice for the last 20 years.
Golly, that's so good. It feels so good.
Yeah, it's a different ballgame when you get into like tour issue shafts versus off the rack stuff. And for someone who strikes it as well as you, you're definitely going to appreciate the difference.
So I'm switching to the KBS Tour C-Taper Light, and this thing looks and feels like a freaking gem right now.
So that's the hook. That's your hook shot right there.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to feel like. Your misses are going to just be so much tighter with more of a shaft, because it's just not enough shaft. I mean, you're swinging 100 miles an hour with a 6 iron, which is swinging.
Yeah. So this is just a heavier version of the shaft. I was just hitting the KBS Tour C-Taper X, and I can definitely feel the difference in weight. So I'm going to hit some balls here and see what I'm looking at. Oh man.
That's the type of miss that I want to see out of a guy like you when you come in and say, my miss is left. I want to see you kind of hang to the right, just be straight, because that just means you were just a touch late with the club face. So look at the face angle or face info. So club path, that's your arm swing, 5.5 to the right, so that's perfect. And then your club face was 0.2 to the right. So that's why it felt a baby phase, because your face in relation to your arm path was just a touch open.
Man, it's consistent.
How'd that feel?
Really good.
All right, let's get you in another one real quick. We got two more to check out. So in the KBS family, it's they call it S taper, but it's money taper.
Okay.
130 gram shaft. So it's going to be the same weight. You're going to see in the step pattern how they're elongated. Just a different step pattern. This is like butter.
Okay.
Like think smooth, and this is like butter.
That was nice.
This is the shaft that when I see you swing, it's like, this would be something nice.
That felt good.
This one and the next one are both going to feel very similar. Ladies and gentlemen, he's hitting fat 6 irons, 195. All right, one more shaft to try real quick. Modus Pro 120, and it's going to be a real super stable. It's got a really firm butt section, firm tip, but it's got like a lighter mid section, so it's designed for people with like really nice tempo like yours. So you don't have to like go after it. I mean, you can if you want, but this is going to be a shaft that's just, again, smooth swings, and you'll be rewarded.
All right, so this is the last shaft we are trying today, and you heard what it was about.
Ultimate swinger shaft.
That felt pretty good.
There's plenty of these on the tour. It's pretty salty.
That one felt really consistent. All right, guys, so basically what we did is we hit 6 different shafts, and C-Taper Light was the one that we kind of tossed out right away, but now we're gonna look at all the data from these 5 different shafts. And one of the things that is cool to me is I came in here thinking maybe I was just gonna get my club bent a little bit to make it, you know, get a little more better fit for me, but it went kind of the opposite way, and it was more about shaft than it is about lie angle, which is really cool. So Jake's gonna kind of walk me through all of these numbers, and we're gonna look at some dispersion, and he's gonna explain all the numbers because you guys know that I don't really know much about that. So what are we looking at?
Yeah, so when you change the length of the shaft, which all of these shafts are a ½ inch under, you're changing the lie angle. So your clubs are automatically becoming a touch flatter and being set up a little bit more in your favor because of the way that you were striking it with that heel strike pattern. Ultimately, what we're looking for is what club do you hit the most efficiently? So what is allowing you to deliver the club to the center of the club face most often? So 1.4 on the smash factor, that's our efficiency number. That's perfect. So anything over that's even better. And then we're going to look at spin numbers because we want to make sure that you're not hitting it too low or you know, that you're spinning it enough to be able to fly it in there high and stop it. But we also want some workability. So we're going to look at our vertical launch numbers, we're going to look at our angle of descent angle, and then we're going to look at our spin. And once we've kind of looked at this data and narrowed it down to 3 shafts, which there's 3 kind of standout performers, then we're going to take a look at the dispersion chart and see which club is the most accurate or what you're most accurate with. From that point, we would move forward with building something custom for you. Just real quick, the 3 standout performers were the C-Taper 130 X-Flex, the Modus Pro 120 X-Flex, as well as the True Temper X100 Tour Issue. From a distance standpoint, you got the most distance out of the C-Taper. The Modus was definitely the 2nd place, and then the X100 was about a club less than those as far as the distance was concerned, but you hit it well, you spun it well, and the descent angles were really nice on that as well. So we're going to take a quick look at your dispersion chart. So like with your current gamer, the difference between your miss hit and your best hit is 18 feet, and your lateral deviation, so that's your width, your accuracy number is 31 feet. So if we're looking at the money taper 130, 21 feet between your best hit and your worst hit, 13 feet on dispersion, side to side. The C-Taper 130, you were really consistent on your best hit and to your worst hit, but your dispersion was a lot closer to your current gamer, so not a whole lot of improvement there other than on miss hits. The Modus 120 X-Flex, I mean, look at that. It's as tight of a dispersion as you can get. So 8 feet between your worst hit and your best hit, and 10 feet of dispersion right to left. I mean, look at that tight little grouping in that purple circle.
Dang.
And
right
then,
here. Look at this guy.
So,
that right here is the Modus 120. That is insane.
yeah, I mean, the data speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I don't have to, I just
You
have
can't
to put the
deny it,
right
yeah.
pairing in your hands.
So that's really neat. I mean, you can't deny the numbers, you can't deny the data, which is really cool because Jake, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to numbers, and it doesn't really matter where your skill level is at. If you want to improve, having the right equipment is so important. And as I'm learning more about that, I'm realizing how important that is to being able to get better. So let me know in the comments if you want to see me come back here. And Jake has some of the highest performing putting.
Yeah, it's Quintic ball roll. It's what all of the OEMs use for R&D when they're creating new putters. Pretty much every tour player putts using Quintic when they're practicing or in their studios. It's a high-speed camera that captures all of the face data, face angle, angle of attack, all of the club head data, plus the first 16 inches of ball roll. So they call themselves the launch monitor for putters. Definitely will put you in a position to make more putts.
So let me know in the comments if you want to see. You guys have seen that I've been putting a lot of work in my putting. So let me know in the comments if you want me to come back and get data on my putter and see where I can improve on that.
Seems like
This was
be
this
the winner.
yeah this is the shaft that had the best dispersion and the most consistent. This has been very, very incredible. Knowledge unbelievable. Like I said in the beginning of the video, everything you need to know about Stripe Show Club Fitters here in Dallas, Texas will be linked at the top of the description. So if you are in the area, or if you're not in the area and you want to get a professional club fitting, and I guarantee it's going to help take your game to another level, and you're going to experience new parts of your game that you really didn't even know about, be sure and hit up Jake.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, let me know if you want to see more of these types of videos, because I'm all about getting better, and you guys know that. So stay tuned for lots more content coming here in 2021. I love you guys. I'll be seeing you in my next video.
Yeah.